look like. Giving up shaving.
Start the meeting. Sorry.
We don't want to start yet.
You
said it.
Okay, we'll go ahead and start the monthly building planning meeting. Call to order at 1 o'clock. Catherine is going to be absent today, just FYI. She texted me and texted Heidi as well.
Okay.
So there's 4 of us.
Okay.
For item B is the approval of the agenda. Is the agenda okay this afternoon?
Do we need a motion? Yes, I'll make a motion.
Moved by Director Officer, second.
Second.
Aye.
One of us.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Any public comment today?
I'm sitting over here because I don't want to give everybody my full.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
You don't mind.
I thought you'd appreciate that.
I think a lot of us have
You
been
can-
sick already, so.
You can give it to Ross if you want to.
Yeah, poor Ross. Give Gene a big kiss on your way out.
Are you Shannon?
Shannon.
Oh, I'm
nice to
sorry.
meet you. Yeah, very nice to meet you.
New CNO, I forgot, we were introduced her at the first meeting yesterday with Shannon, that was the first day yesterday,
Oh, perfect,
our
perfect.
new CNO, chief nursing officer.
Well, actually, welcome back, I should say.
Yeah.
Why on earth would she look happy?
That's what I was wondering.
Just wait till wait till her second meeting with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, welcome, Shannon. I don't see anybody else from the public on here. Item D is the minutes of the January 27th meeting. There's no corrections.
Motion to accept. I didn't see you.
Okay. Motion by Director Clark. Is there a second?
I'll second.
You know, I wasn't there. I can't,
Oh, that's right.
I can't
I forgot about that.
attest to the validity of these minutes.
Okay. Okay. The second by Director Parks. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes. Okay, the project update. Bob, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, so Seismic Master Plan, obviously no change. I'm getting pretty close to sending an email out to Cal OES consultants to see if they have any input as to whether, we are still in the running or not. And so I was going to try and do it before this meeting, but I kind of wanted to give them February because they had said they were going to do their initial evaluation in January, and the state agencies are never on time. So I was giving them a good bit of February before I started queries. So as far as that's concerned, and of course, HCI has granted us another year's extension on our plan approval.
Is that a year from this April?
Yes.
Okay, that's good.
So
Could we apply for through something, an emergency for the emergency not working? Now, okay, so it didn't work. So now the consequences, we have to do something. Is there a way that we could apply for something to do what we have to do to get out of what we did? You follow me?
I'm working on it.
Oh, okay. Well, think about it. It don't have to be done
Yeah,
today.
well, okay, so I've applied for 2 grants and we are in running for both of them. So I've applied for the Cal OES FEMA grant, and that's pretty much our last bid,
That's right.
of which we know that 25% we would pay, which is 8 million and change. And so what I've done is I have also filed with HCI for their grant program for seismic upgrades of rural hospitals. And my grant is sitting on the desk awaiting the outcome of the Cal OES grant. Unfortunately, they won't tell me how much they might award us of that $8 million, but I've requested the whole amount. In which case we could do the whole project with no money out of pocket. I can dream,
Is it, you have to get the first one before you get the second one?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then unfortunately, I don't know how much the second, I tried to get an answer out of HCI of how much they might consider giving us. And I just hit a brick wall. So, these are the funds that have been given to them out of the vaping taxes in the state of California.
I'll be darned.
Yes.
We
So-
can legalize vaping here.
Well, we can just talk to lots of people into vaping because then we'll have more money in that account. But anyway, so,
You understand what I was saying? There's consequences of what we, of moving forward, what we did, and what we have to do because
yeah, and you know, and obviously, you know, John and I have talked a lot about, you know, do we proceed? Let's just say we get the grant. But then the next step is we really, and for too long probably, is we probably should put this thing out to bid. Because we're expecting, in the grant, we have said the construction is 31 million. Of the 35 million, 4 million is overseeing and inspections and all the stuff that goes with construction. Because let's just say that somebody sharpened their pencil sharp and it came in at 29 million. Well, that means there's 2 million that we don't have to pay out of the 8 million because we still get the set amount. As far as I know, we would still get the 75% of the 35 million.
Yeah, but what about if it goes to 35 million?
But then the problem is if it
Which
goes
is more
more,
likely.
if it goes, yeah, and it's more likely to go the other way. And so if it came in, the construction bid came in at 35 million, we would have to eat the additional 4 in addition to the 8. And so it's all immediately becomes a done deal. And so,
Can afford 12 million.
no. And I see no reason to bankrupt the hospital to seismically stay open when we can't stay open because we're broke. You know?
what about the extra income because we got a new CNO?
Very expensive.
Well, you need to go out and break some legs with BAT in the community so we get more business.
Don't tempt him.
But I mean, also, we'd be the only hospital doing it. The big ones aren't going to do the seismic.
So I did have a discussion with our inspector because he works for Mercy and he works for Adventist Health and he works for all the hospitals in Bakersfield. So Dignity is actually moving forward. So obviously they just finished that huge new wing out at Mercy Southwest. So, and Mercy Southwest wasn't built that long ago. So Mercy Southwest is basically compliant. Mercy Downtown will never be compliant. The buildings are too old. But Memorial is working on plans for a new wing, which would then get them closer towards compliance. You know, and I told him, well, they won't be done by 2030. And he tried to tell me that they would be. And I said, wait a minute. A year to draw the plans, 2 years in plan review, and 2 to 3 years to build it. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. Well, that's past 2030. So they won't make that deadline unless they've got somebody that can phenomenally fast track construction.
So it doesn't count if you started the project, you have to finish.
Well, again, you know,
Gray area.
obviously it's probably a gray area, but they're going to say, hey, well, you got an approved project. You know, it's like, okay, so one of the Adventist hospitals in Northern California, I was sent up there to inspect their construction project. They were building a replacement hospital. This was about 12 years ago because their old one was not upgradable. And okay, so we did some work to get to NPC 2 so that we could then be granted to be open until 2030, because there was actually a drop dead date many years earlier than that that's already passed. Their construction was taking too long and it was going to take them past the drop dead date that they had to be out of the old facility because they hadn't gotten it from an NPC 1 to an NPC 2 or SPC 1 to SPC 2. And they simply granted them a waiver of extension of time past the due date, you know, and 6 months later, they were opening the new facility past the due date. So there will obviously be, you know, and for us, let's just say we can't afford to do the project. We don't get the grant. Well, we gave it a good try. We spent $1 million plus on plans. We had an approved project. We just can't fund it. And state's not funding the work. You know, I think that they would grant us some leniency on that.
You know what I think?
Yeah.
I think the law is going to change. You know, 95% of the hospitals in the state can't meet that standard.
Yeah.
And we can't afford it.
Being
And
nice,
Medicaid's being cut.
even
Nobody's
yeah.
going to be able to pay for it.
even being
It's
nice,
ridiculous.
70% of the hospitals can't meet it.
It started in 2010, I believe, and now it just keeps going to 2030.
Yeah, it's,
So it's gonna go probably.
So the reality is,
Not-
you know, maybe the best decision will be that we don't do the project.
Yeah.
Um,
but we still need to do stuff to our facility because it's
Yeah.
crumbling.
Well,
Yes.
we will. do
So-
that.
So
do that.
John and I have discussed the various things that, you know, my suggestions to John have been, okay, first thing, new roof. Okay, so I'm working, I've got to call into another company trying to get some better pricing and some better products. This particular company is recommending this. It's an excellent product. It's a 2-layer process. This one is adhered to your roof structure with a black material. And then they put this foam type glue on, and then they put the waterproof membrane on top of that. So you have a redundancy of your roofing because I put a rubber roof at the time. It was state of the art on the hospital in Bakersfield. It's now being replaced because it's 30 years old. But and most of these roofs are good for 30 years. If you take really good care of them, maybe 50. So I'm working on pricing because obviously a new roof is in the project, but if we don't do the project, we need a roof.
Yeah.
I mean, we had CDPH out here today, and one of their complaints was the leaks in the building. And so I gave her everything that we're doing, everything that we've done related to the project, waiting for approval on that. And that's why we haven't replaced the roof. But this is what we're doing in the meantime, and how we assess and address leaks in the building, you know, quickly every time it rains. And she appears to be accepting of that, because they can get real persnickety, because water into your attic can create mold and, you know, all the things that can go along with that. So that's why we jump on those immediately, and we get them opened up, we get them dried out, we get new ceiling tile in, so that, you know, and we mark where the leak is so that we can go on the roof after the rain and try and repair that, along with the other 20, 30 leaks we have in the building. And we have areas that we just we've not even been able to resolve the leaks. So we have tarps, so, you know, and we just keep replacing those tarps as the wind tears by. So obviously the very first project we would need to do if we're not doing seismic is to re-roof the
Give me
facility.
the bad news on price.
Well,
I already know what it is.
Yeah. So the challenge is roads are not inexpensive. And the problem is we are prevailing wage, and that these prevailing wage jobs are just coming in outrageously high. I mean, you saw what happened just down there for the suite renovation in the admin building. You know, they're coming in at triple what they should be. So I'm looking into different companies. There's a company I've used years ago, and I called a contractor friend of mine in Bakersfield that does a lot of work on hospitals, and he recommended Diamond Ridge Roofing as well. And so I've got to call into them, trying to get some better costs. So there's a company that makes this roofing. The company is called Garland. That's Garland Roofing Company. They don't install roofs, they make a roofing product. So, but what they do as to help us make decisions is they put together a really nice study of all of our buildings, the condition of the roofs, when they should be replaced, et cetera. And of course, I told them prevailing wage and all those sorts of things. And of course, there's a square footage of all the roofs. So for instance, the Acute Care is 21,073 square feet of roof. Their price is very, very high, I think. And I'm hoping, okay, so in other words, they don't do the roof. Okay, what they do is they help our architect write the spec. Okay, when your contractor is bidding, he's going to use Garland subsheet and such an adhesive and the top sheet. And because you have to specify that. You can't just say some roofing product.
Yeah.
It has to be named. It has to have the cut sheets. It has to have the flame spread ratings. It has to have everything detailed on the HCI drawings.
Is that in our existing plans?
It is part of the seismic project. Yes.
So that roof detail is already lined out in our plans.
I want to go back. I want to go back and look at what is specified. I believe it is specified as a single ply rubber membrane, which we might end up doing. I mean, it's a good roof. It's what I put on the hospital in Bakersfield. I like this product better because I like the dual layer. So that if you drop something sharp on a rubber roof and it puts a little deep, you have a leak. With this one, at least, it has to go through this layer and this real thick rubbery layer before you have a leak. So I like the two layer process. I'm not saying we can afford it. We might have to go with something less expensive, but I'm also going to talk to Diamond Ridge about, because they do a lot of work on hospitals, you know, what do they recommend as a good product and what's the cost, and the cost per square foot installed with prevailing wage. And so I'm working on all those things because that's the first spinoff if we don't do the project, seismic project. The next thing we might want to, well, I think we should consider is that, because Friday we're moving medical records down the street. Okay, so medical records is empty. Medical records on the seismic project is slated to become the new pharmacy that's fully compliant with Board of Pharmacy, which right now we're having unending headaches with Board of Pharmacy in our existing. So, you know, I suggested we might want to just carve out that portion of the drawings and resubmit it to HCI as a single project and build the pharmacy. Another thing that we could do is we could shift respiratory. In the seismic project, we take the area that's now respiratory and we turn it into CT. And the CT would come out of the trailer and into the building.
I want the ER fixed.
Well,
After the roof, we need the ER fixed.
I think we had a discussion at the last meeting, which I know you weren't here for that.
Yeah.
So I think we briefly talked about, like, if this didn't go through, we would probably go into the.
so here, okay, so to do ER where the ER is, doesn't really make a lot of sense because you basically have to do the seismic project, because what we had to do is we had to create a new nurses station and acute, divide acute into half, utilize one nurses station and acute and part of respiratory for a waiting room, because you have to have a fully compliant ER, move the ER into the half of acute so that we could then gut the ER and redo the structure so that we could create the proper floor plan for the ER. Hugely expensive because it's a good portion. It's a fair chunk of the seismic project. Seismic portion of the hot project is only this much. Right. Making the building livable to today's standard is, you know, 2/3 of the cost. But all needs to be considered. The other thing I've talked with John about is that we're not required to have a surgery. We could submit a set of plans to HCI and renovate the surgery building into a really kick-ass ER.
So that's what I meant,
In a-
surgery,
in a-
not med surge, I'm sorry.
Yeah, in a nice but very new building that's almost fully compliant, other than minor NC5 stuff.
Well, as we all know, I mean, that's the biggest complaint from
Yes.
the patients is the ER.
Yes, and so that would work. I'm not even hazarding a guess at this point, but it would be a couple $1 million at the minimum. But that's a possibility. These are all things that we have discussed as possibles. And, you know, and John, like Tim before him, was saying, oh, but, you know, we're going to find some doctors and we're going to get surgery going. And that's been going on for the 11 years that I've been here.
Yeah.
And everybody goes, oh, well, I know a doctor who might come here. And so we spend time researching that and it doesn't pan out. I'm just throwing stuff out there. I agree. We need a new ER. I would love, John doesn't agree with me totally. I would love to build a new ER in the surgery building and then turn that old ER into just some office space and a few, you know, minor odds and ends of storage or something.
Probably makes a lot of sense.
Because it's junk.
We're limiting ourselves on having additional revenue sources if we do that.
Yeah.
That's what we need to decide whether or not that's.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's only things we have.
There's your trade-offs, you know,
And that's what we need to talk about.
because, you know, could we get some other revenue stream going through the existing surgery the way it is currently? I mean, we are doing some wound care there, but that's so far.
We could do scopes and things like that there too, maybe some minor surgeries like we used to do. But again, we gotta find.
Gotta find the-
And yes, that's the hard part.
So-
How much were we making whenever BICA was, when you was there? The ones you're talking,
Right,
prior to, can you look at the records and see
sure.
what our income
I
was?
could figure it out. Do a
Yeah,
pro forma. I'm gonna do a pro forma.
I always heard that surgery never made money.
But it's the ancillaries, what you get a lot of ancillary
Yeah.
tests and stuff to do that.
Yeah.
That's where you get.
So I'm just throwing out options because the big picture decisions are your guys' decisions. I can make recommendations, but
So just to go back to the original thought of getting a hold of our consultants at the state level
yes,
to find out, are we in the running? I mean, are they having all their conversations with infrastructure down in LA? And so we're not going to see a penny of it?
yes, that is what I plan on doing, and I hope to have an answer by the next meeting.
Okay.
Because I would like to know sooner than later.
Could you maybe have an answer before our board meeting in a couple of weeks?
I will try. You know, in other words, I'll hit Haggerty up, the consultants that have been helping us all along.
They must
And
know.
I
Gotta be in on
sure
those
that they
conversations.
can reach out to some people at Cal OES and get a feel, at least a feel for it. I believe I can. That's what I'm planning on doing.
Okay.
So I will see if I can have some sort of an answer by board meeting.
They must know. They must know. They must have a good feel.
You know,
for where the money's going.
I have a bad feeling with Cal OES because of what happened the first time.
Yeah.
And that is yes, your project is approved and we're going to move ahead, and so we started drawing like crazy on the plans and because we were funded. And then it's like him and I get a call that says, oh, by the way, we ran out of money before we got to your project. See, I understand where Trump's going. FEMA was being handled very badly through the whole hurricane east of that. And FEMA, as we know from personal experience, moves very slowly on stuff. They eventually get around to stuff. But so Trump's idea, I understand his logic. I don't know that I agree with handing the state of California a bunch of money is the best solution. But his idea is let's take the money that we give to FEMA and let's give it to the states and let the states manage because they know their emergent projects better than FEMA does. Not a bad idea, but I also don't trust Cal OES any further than I can throw them because they did us in the first time. And as we know, we're how many billions in the hole in our budget in the state of California. And so my gut feeling is California is going to make sure that all those federal monies get siphoned off into what they need the money for or believe they need the money.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. I hope I am wrong, but that's my gut feeling.
Okay.
But I'll try.
Verification with Haggerty.
Yes, I will work on getting.
How's that?
What's that?
When you know, we'll know.
Yes, absolutely.
A crazy question.
Yeah.
Places like Tucson
Yes.
has a lot more volume of flat roofs than we do in California. What do they use there?
I don't know anybody in Tucson, but I've been watching the news a lot as far as what's her name's mother that got absconded with, and that has a roof like that.
I mean,
Chet actually used to be a CFO in the hospital too, so.
Oh, was he?
Could ask him.
And the advantage of this roof, in fact, I get lots of magazines related to the industry that I'm in. So I was reading one this morning when I first got to work about resilient roofs. And one of the things they really talk about if you're in a hot climate is go with a reflective white roof because then it lessens the amount of heat being drawn into the building. And we already know that our insulation in this old building sucks. And so by going with a white roof from the gravel roof that's there, it's going to reflect off a lot more of the heat.
What's the price tag on that?
To do the acute care building, they estimate 1.1 million.
That's just the product. That's not in.
No, that's everything. That's turnkey done.
No, just for the.
Okay.
That's just
Yeah.
right.
3.7.
So it's, what they're saying is that for all our buildings, because all our roads are in sad shape.
The sniff those two?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
The sniff was recoated with a rubberized roll-on product 12 years ago. And we are continuing to fix leaks in that roof regularly.
It's an annual maintenance project.
Yeah, 2 years ago, I rolled the entire surgery roof, the lower section, to try and lengthen its life. This elastomeric roof coating gives us maybe another 5 years, each time we put it on.
The elastometric is great, but the silicone-based one is tenfold better product. And the advantage with the spray on is it goes on quarter thick, but it's still an annual maintenance. You got to get up there, fill the cracks, fill the voids,
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, because the roof expansion and contraction, so it opens up the old seams.
Yep.
Yeah, anyway, I keep 255-gallon drums on hand and stuff, and we keep using it regularly.
Yep.
Okay, so, but yes, to do all of our roads, so I'm talking from central plant to the far end of Smith, is $3,725,000 is their estimate.
Okay.
I'm trying to get some better numbers out of, an actual roofing contractor versus them. I also want to find out from the roofing contractor, how does the cost of this compare to some other options? I want to get together a much more robust package for you guys to all look at as far as moving forward with roofs.
We should look at a big umbrella.
Windproof umbrella. Okay. Admin building. I mentioned earlier, we're going to move medical records Friday. I've got a little bit of minor work to do down there, hopefully this week, but the week's going very fast. And then, of course, the pharmacy is coming along very well. I don't know if any of you stopped by and looked at it. Right now, we are bolting all the cabinets together and getting ready to set the counters on top. And other than a little bit of work in the break room and some shelving in the back room, that's about it. And, oh, yes, and the sales windows, I was working on this morning until Steve Gates showed up, put in the counters on the sales window. And then tomorrow, when I go to Bakersfield, I'm going to order the unbreakable plexiglass to go in those windows tomorrow. Right. And they should have it done in a week or so, and we can install those. So I have the sales windows to do. We're in process of bolting down the cabinets and setting the counters. And then I need to purchase a small counter and 2 cabinets for the break room. I need to put some storage shelving in where there are bulk supplies coming to set wire shelving. And that's about it. I mean, we're getting very close on that one. I'm still shooting to try to be pretty much done by end of this month. We might roll 1 week into March. I know we're kind of hanging fire with trying to, when we notify.
We already submitted the application.
Yeah.
We submitted that in mid-November. It took them about 6 weeks to get back to us with a request that we needed to add the new address to our wholesaler agreement. We had Cardinal do that. I sent that off to them, I think late last week. I got a notification on Monday that they received it, but it's still processing. So we don't have any time frame from them yet.
One lead item is what you approved was the narcotics safe. And this company's been challenging to work with.
It got ordered today.
It got ordered.
Yeah.
Okay. This morning, it wasn't ordered yet because they put on the quote, Florida sales tax, not California sales tax. Accounting wanted it to be exactly right. So we had to get a new quote sent at California sales tax. It's an additional $300 or something. Anyway, and between their 2 quotes previously, they were off 5 cents on the 10% discount they were giving us. It's just been a frustrating process to get this safe ordered. They're claiming they're going to only take how many days to get it here?
It said like a week.
Like a week. I mean, because they have them in stock. And I think they have them in stock in California and in Florida. Yeah.
Facility that will ship.
And so in theory, it'll just ship California to here, which I'm not assuming LA or somewhere. So we should be able to get it pretty quick, but they have to have check in hand. So.
They sent them a check today.
Yeah. So anyway, so it's all in process. That's the one lead item that I don't have a guarantee is going to be here by the end of the month, but we're shooting for it. And then we have to raise it up higher because it's only 36 inches high. And for some reason, the pharmacists don't want to get down on their hands and knees to get the narcotics. Don't understand. What's that?
What's the weight?
800 pounds. Yeah. So what I'm doing is tomorrow I plan on picking up some angle iron from B&B Surplus down in Bakersfield. And I'll be cutting that and welding up a framework about this high that can support 800 pounds. Because also it has to be bolted down in a way that nobody can break into the building and roll the safe out. So I've got it'll be anchored, the framework will be anchored down, and then the safe will be bolted to the framework. That will get it up so it's at a reasonable height. So these are all the little odds and ends that I've got to accomplish in the next.
How do you move an 800-pound safe?
Carefully.
Carrie's
Well-
dad, I've got a 1,400-pound safe. Carrie's dad moved it in my house and put it in my bedroom.
I wonder it's back.
And but I knew that was pretty big.
So,
Because I was helping him.
Problems.
yeah, so what my plan is it will come out on a truck. That truck will have a lift gate. They will have it on a pallet because they have to move it with a pallet jack. We will have our pallet jack down there. And so they will wheel it off, set it down. We'll pick it up with our pallet jack. We'll put some shims in the doorway. We'll roll it through the door and into the back space. And then I have an equipment lift that's hydraulic. And so what we will do is with the pallet jack, we'll raise it up and then we'll block it and we'll raise it up a little more till I can put my equipment lift under it, which raises it up, and then we can just slide it off onto the bolted down legs.
Okay.
Yeah, I've moved stuff way heavier than this. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so that's where we're at on the pharmacy. It's looking really, really nice down there. Suda and all of her staff have come down and adjusted a few things and made things the way they want, and they're very happy with how things are
Are
looking.
you gonna talk about the sign on here or are you gonna talk about?
Yeah, now we'll talk about signage. Okay, so,
She listed.
It's actually separate.
oh, okay, so it's a separate item, so we won't talk about signs
Okay.
now. Okay, and then next one, the emergency generator. I'm about ready to shoot somebody at HCI. We were issued a new temporary fire marshal. And so he's supposed to be here Thursday to take a look at things. And I had assumed we would perform a test where we kill the power to the hospital and it starts and transfers in less than 10 seconds, 10 seconds or less. And he's telling my inspector, no, I want to witness the tests for like the low level coolant alarm and stuff like that. And are you going to have somebody here to drain all the coolant out of the machine to trigger the alarm? Well, there's 15 alarms. Okay, that being just one of the 15. And so I have to call him later today and have a discussion with him because no, we're not doing that. That generator is smarter than all of us. And when they set it all up and we tested all the alarms, Quinn has a computer hooked up to the computer in the generator, and they trigger the sensor for low level and it triggers on the panels because it's a smart system. We are not going to drain the coolant out of the bottom of the radiator down to the point where it triggers the alarm. So if he's going to be insistent on that, then I am going to go over his head and I'm going to go to Sacramento and say, get this idiot out of here.
Yeah.
So it might take me 6 months to close this project, but I am not going to do what he is saying he wants to do.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's totally ridiculous.
And it's
Anyway,
probably a 15-gallon system on top of it. And then if you spill one drop on the ground, he's going to claim it's a hazmat.
yeah, it's a hazmat situation. Yeah, it probably holds 30 to 50 gallons of coolant. Yeah, you know, it's just, I think the only thing he's ever tested is little generators about this big for skilled nursing facilities. I guess. Just one of the fun things that I get resolved. Okay. NPC 5, they will have that submitted to HCI by the end of the week. It took me forever to get the soils report, and so they got their soils report yesterday. And they're finishing the last of their calculations and drawings, and I've already approved the submittal at HCI. Them to, they've already uploaded it. So it's all in process. So we're meeting the deadline for the submittal of plans for NPC 5. And that's been their whole focus. So we haven't worked on the skilled nursing reclassification because it was more important. You know, because Greenbow's working on a lot of hospitals. And I literally had to beg them to continue doing us here because we're so remote. And so, but he agreed, you know, if I'm here because I know all the ins and outs and I can do most of their legwork, It's even like the structural engineer who's working on the replacement of our X-ray room. I removed a light fixture. I got above ceiling. I took pictures of all of the bracing and everything. He still wanted to drive down here and inspect it himself because we have to. So on that project, when that was built, seismic criteria was different. Now they want uplift as well as download and side to sway bracing. So he's come up with an idea of how we can create the side to side bracing, because what we have is one that's for dead load. There's a gap there. We might have to cut some little holes in the ceiling and put shims in there to take up the space between the unistruts and the structural steel. Just things like that. So he actually drove down the Sacramento area to look at that with me. Spent about 4 hours one day and resolve those things. But it takes a lot of their time to draw projects. And anyway, so yeah, and we went through all sorts of issues related to the NPC 5 and the water tank over here. It's got to go to Kern County, and it's got to have a pump that agitates the tank so that it doesn't stratify, and it has to have the ability to chlorinate if we need to chlorinate, and we have to test, so all of this stuff had to be worked out and all the steps. So they are getting to our projects as quick as they can and working with the deadline. It's with HCI, for instance, for NPC 5. Okay. So obviously we have skilled nursing on hold. For where we're going to replace the cabinets at the nurse's station, because it's got a hand wash sink this big. I have all the cabinets. I have the counter. I have the sink. I have the faucet. I have the refrigerator. I've got everything to go. John's asked me to hold off on that one until we get the pharmacy done.
Good.
So good. Yeah. So we're most of the way through the list. I have all the new corner guards ready to put on, but again, my guy to put them on is the guy working on the pharmacy.
Got to get that pharmacy.
I know, we got to get it
That's
done.
first priority, right?
Yeah, the number one priority. Okay, so that's kind of where we're at. And so my thought is we finish the pharmacy, we come up and we knock out the things in skilled nursing, and then we work on the stuff for acute care and for dietary, these lists we put together of making it nicer. Right. All right, any questions?
Questions for Bob? Yes, sir.
Nope.
Okay, the next is the signage.
Yeah, so what we've done for temporary is we've already purchased and have 2 banners. A big banner to put on the building that says new home of Mesa Clinical Pharmacy, big long banner. And we'll put up temporary banners, don't require a permit. And so, and then we have one to put on the old building that says we have moved and gives the new address. So that will put up the day we move. But we've been now working on the permanent signage. And Monica has a graphics design background, so she did all this stuff, and we sent it off to so we sent it to the sign company that we normally use, which has been Advanced Signs out of Bakersfield. He responded that they could do the sign on the building. They would do a new box sign on the shorter poles up front. He said, we will not take down the bowling sign. And as we know, the daughter of the bowling owner has requested to have that sign. We can take it down as long as we give them the sign. So that kind of took them out of the running. I talked with another sign company I've used over the years, CN Signage from Bakersfield. They gave us a quote, which you have a copy here. And then Heidi mentioned that we had somebody who used to work here with our pharmacy with some issues having a pharmacy years ago, that they had a sign company in Bakersfield. So I approached them, and they're working on a quote as well. And I just want to kind of bounce this off you, because what we had shown on the front of the building was a long box of a sign with like blue background and white lettering that's backlit. This sign company has a somewhat novel idea that maybe we do individual letters that are attached. So it says Mesa Clinical Pharmacy in just lit letters.
Correct. What's called raceway signage.
Yeah, and so the raceway would be on the backside of the parapet wall. And so I said, well, price it out both ways and see, because I kind of like that idea too, versus big box thing. So unfortunately, they haven't got the bid together yet. I spoke with them this morning and they said they hope to have it to me by end of week. But this is not a necessity. This is just something I wanted to discuss today and give you at least this first bid that we got, so you have an understanding of what the costs would be for it. But this company here, CN Signs, they said, no problem. We'll just put a crane on that thing and we'll cut the brackets loose and we'll lower the whole box down and we'll load it on our truck and we'll take it over to the bowling alley and stick it in their little yard or wherever they want it. He had no problem doing it. But I found out also from him that he does some of the bigger and higher installations for advanced signs. Because everybody in Bakersfield knows everybody and they share services and stuff. So just letting you know, it's in the works towards having, but I want to have several proposals from at least minimum of 2 companies of what the costs would be before we ask for your approval to go ahead.
The newer signs seem to be lower than them, awful high, the one up the street.
That's why we're eliminating the one that says
The smaller one, the shorter one.
the shorter one is we're going to use those existing legs. The power already comes from our building out to it for the lighting.
Right, and they're gonna be taking, well, they're disconnecting the old power.
So the power to the bowling alley sign comes right off the power line.
Right,
So I put in a request to,
would they be doing that?
no, that would be done by Edison. So I put in a work request with
Where's
Edison.
the meter?
It's on the pole.
On the pole.
If you go by and look, there's those big green bushes in the bottom. And just above the bushes on the east side of that pole, going the closest one to the street of the high sign, there's an electric meter.
What I was getting at is about 20 feet high. Would it be better to be 16 feet? It's awful. You gotta look up to see it.
The lower sign, I think, will be the big sign. No, that's too high. But the lower sign, I don't think we'd want it much lower, or you wouldn't see it from further down the street.
So we're gonna be using the smaller.
It's a smaller one. It's 9 foot by 4 foot. So it's a pretty good size.
And you said this one will light up.
Yes, it'll be.
Okay. Does the bowling alley sign, I don't remember, does it still work at all?
No.
I didn't think so.
In those days, they were fluorescent tubes.
That's what I thought.
And, fluorescent tubes stick for 5 years. And then you got to go up there in a box
Yeah.
or in a bucket. And you got to take the face off and you got to replace all of the tubes and the ballasts and shit. So obviously the new one will be LED, and so knock on wood, should last for a lot of years. But yeah, so it has,
TV show that collects these old signages and
maybe we can donate it to the museum in Bakersfield.
So obviously, we're not gonna take action because we've got.
No, I didn't want this to be an action item. I just.
Potentially is action.
That's
The
true.
other company had declined to bid or anything to, then we could have at least made a decision. So we don't have to take action.
We don't have to. I mean, we could say that, if the other third company comes in at less than this, that they will get the bid, but I don't know that it's that high of a priority. I would like to have,
Personally, the raceway sign is gonna look much better than a box sign.
I think so too.
If we get these proposals before the board meeting, put it on that agenda too.
Yeah, and what I may do is probably even today or tomorrow, I will go back to CN Signs and I'll ask them to do the one on the building as a raceway sign, so that we have apples to apples from both companies, because
I know Fast Signs does them too.
Yeah.
Also,
Just a suggestion would be maybe to work with Nick from marketing to just get branding and all that consistent. Because as I see it, it doesn't necessarily tie to the hospital. Like KBHD is like nowhere mentioned. Maybe we could do something as part of the sign that somehow.
we may not want it to mention the hospital,
Why?
because people don't think that it belongs to the hospital, and so they go there.
That's our logo.
You can look at that.
Oh.
That's what I'm saying. At least throw a logo on there or something like that. I mean, we're one thing. Like we should be proud of each of the things that we're doing.
Well, I'm not saying I'm opposed to it. I'm just saying is that we've never have had the hospital's logo related to Mesa. And most people I talk to have no clue that it's owned by the hospital. They go there because of the good service they get, and it's.
Which could potentially bolster the impression of the hospital because Mesa Clinic Pharmacy has a good rapport with
I
the
don't
community.
have any big birds ones.
So the sign's high enough, you could put a bronze sign underneath ours, is what you're saying.
A what?
We would get a bonds. That way we would get more attention in our. The same thing you said.
I like where you get that, Gene.
Yeah, anyway, if you want me to get Nick.
Yeah, just to see, I mean, just to come up with design stuff, you know,
John,
He's pretty-
Side.
he's pretty talented in that area. So, not to say that this looks bad by any means, just more ideas,
You
could
talked
give us
about it.
more.
But those little swish things, that's kind of our logo, right?
It's kind of our logo, but it's
That's not,
not
it's not.
quite
Exactly.
our logo.
I think
No,
if I put our logo on there, that's
Yeah.
enough of a time.
Yeah.
Something.
So,
That'd be easy to change too.
well, okay, so if you look at the existing basic clinical sign, it has the little 3 mountain peaks. So we carried that over. That was decided way back when we created basic clinical pharmacy. And so what we did is
That's their logo?
yes,
That logo on their Facebook page, that's
Yes.
currently their,
So that was an older logo.
And we've rolled everybody into
When
one.
we opened
drive down that-
It was likely the hospital logo. But
Back then, and
Back then.
we've changed our
we
logo.
changed it here, but.
And they
it's
haven't.
roll out.
I got
yeah, we change it every time I get it put on something permanently.
Yeah.
That's been the same for many years now, the
You're on
hospital
your
logo.
toes now.
The one out front that says rural clinic,
Right.
rural health clinic. I went to Tim and I went to Greg and I says, because we were getting ready to start the renovation. Are you sure you are not going to change this name of the clinic when we get done with the construction? We are sure. So I had that sign all built, non-removable letters and put out front. And as soon as we finished that renovation, Greg goes, I want to change the name of the clinic.
Well, let's decide it all now.
So anyway, yes, so if you drive down there and look at their existing sign, it has those 3 little mountain peaks. And they have modified that over time. And like she said, she pulled this off their website. This is their logo for Basic Clinical Pharmacy.
That is off of their Facebook page, but that social media page, somebody created years ago.
That was right.
It's dead, not used, so I just want branding.
I don't care
Put it this way,
one way or another.
the raceway sign on the building will look great.
Yeah.
The box sign, have a good time designing.
Yeah. Because on the building, that would simply say Mesa Clinical Pharmacy.
If it's raceway, that's what it could have a little logo designed into it, which they tend to do above, beyond.
Yeah, I mean, a logo like this could be done as a individual.
Getting intricate, it's gonna go on the box sign.
Those are board okay with
Tables.
tabling this until,
Yes, sir.
Need more prices.
yeah. And maybe might be advantageous, speaking of logos, maybe we need to talk about changing the logo. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I'm kind of
Branding
in
consistency.
agreement with Carrie this time, which is rare. But I think it should be consistent. If we're gonna spend all this money on a sign, let's
I agree. We need to.
As far as-
the same. I agree.
let's make it one consistent message.
Yeah.
It's like we
As far as
tell our story.
removing the old sign, the big one, the bowling alley sign, it has nothing to do with sign company. If we could get a volunteer, like, backhoe
It'd be
guy,
better to have a crane.
You can't get it
They
down.
have-
You cannot get it down without a crane.
that's what I'm talking about. What's his name? It does work for us.
He doesn't do work for me and he's not gonna do it for me for free.
Okay. Whatever.
And besides, but not only do you have to get a crane on it, you gotta get a bucket up there and you gotta torch off the mountains. Right. So it's more than I'm willing to take on,
We also have to
30
consider
people.
liability too, if somebody.
Yes.
Sure.
Correct. And they get
Well, I'm talking about-
injured.
Company has got insurance.
Yeah, let's have somebody.
Yeah,
do it.
no, they charge and that's what the signage company is gonna do. They're gonna take it down and
Charge
charge
the
us
same
for it.
price anyway.
And the first company flat out said they won't remove it because they don't want to be responsible for damaging.
Makes sense.
All right, okay, item G is, we got 4 invoices for the board action. Any input on this, Bob?
Yeah, so the green vote is on the X-ray room that I was talking about. They've got those drawings partially done. They're billing their first installment of 12,000 on a $49,000 cost to draw the plans. And then Radian, okay, so the generator project this is emergency generator project for the clinic. Plans are in Kern County in plan review. I've reviewed them. I made a few notes. They're going to make a couple minor changes too. But other than that, they're in plan review at Kern County to permanently install the generator. Right. And when that set of plans is done, they're going to finish the drawings for down here at the pharmacy. Actually, just so you know, what my plan also to do is for the pharmacy, so that we have a generator for this summer, is that, because, we got the 2 generators are sitting right over there. The one for the clinic's a slam dunk. I had to pull an AQMD permit, but all I have to do is finish filling out the notice of start. And then we send it to them. And then I take one of these generators and I replace the generator at the clinic. We will still continue to rent the transfer switch until this project happens. Because this project puts in a permanently mounted transfer switch, trenches around the building, and places the generator on the side of the building where the mobile clinic used to be, inside of that existing wrought iron fence, so that it's protected. And then what Sean and I are planning on doing at the pharmacy is that as we get real close to the end of the project, we're going to come in on a weekend when they're closed at the pharmacy. We're going to disconnect their power. We're going to remove the generator and transfer switch that are there, rehook their power back up so they're back in business without a generator there, but hopefully only for a few days. We're going to bring the transfer switch over here and tie it into the breaker panels of suites D and E, and put the temporary transfer switch and then place our new generator on that transfer switch, at which points both of the rentals go away. And then as we finish these projects of the permanent installation, where we're actually, because these are trailer mount, but we're pouring a foundation and we're going to crane the generator off the trailer and set it on a permanent concrete foundation that would be tied into a permanent transfer switch. So that's working on those. So this is the first installment to the architect for the plans for at the clinic.
That's the Radian one?
The Radian one.
Okay.
Yes. And then DFI is our inspector of record. We're still trying to close out this generator project. And then we completed the med air gas and we have a closed in compliance with HCI on that. So this was all of his inspection fees for that project.
Can you get this guy to do the inspection on the generator?
He's the one I'm working with as the go-between to the fire marshal.
Okay.
I literally was on the phone with Jerry 15 minutes before this meeting, and he was telling me what the fire marshal is going to do. So he's in no place to argue because he's the IOR. But we argue because the IOR already witnessed every test. I'll just stop right there. I'm seriously.
I don't want to get you going again.
Motion to accept as presented.
Okay, we have
Get
a
them paid.
motion by Director Clark to accept all 4 invoices. Is there a second?
Second.
By Director Elliott. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes. All right, well, that concludes our meeting. We're officially now adjourned at 7:54. Or, I'm sorry, 1:54, sorry.
Long meeting.
I have a whole hour to get prepared for my expense reduction meeting with John.